Thank you very much for having us here again. My name is Grant, and I'm a graduate of the Teen Challenge program. And I graduated from Teen Challenge in December of 2020. I know, I look young for a teenager. Teen Challenge, actually, in Canada, you need to be 18 years of age to get into the program, as there's no bars on the windows or security guards holding you back, so you need to be able to sign yourself in and out in Canada. So it is from 18 and up. I was 57 years old when I went into the program, and I'll give you a little bit of my story. My job really is to tell you about Teen Challenge, but I'll just tell you what God does or has done for sure in my life through the program at Teen Challenge. We've got a couple of guys here who will be doing their testimonies, and generally speaking, the three of us actually go out with the choir. And so it's a privilege to have these guys here, and they can attest that whenever I talk about my story, I get a little emotional. And I think if anybody could get into my head and see where I was 4 years ago to where God has taken me now, you'd understand. He has done unbelievable supernatural work in my life, radical transformation. And always the verse for me is, 2 Corinthians 5:17, if any man be in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things are passed away, and behold, all things have become new. I can stand here as a testimony to God being true to his word, because he has radically transformed my life. And I was thinking there, as I tend to get emotional anyways, I'd like to thank the worship team for playing my mother's favorite song. That did not help. But I know if she could see the man that God has made me today, she'd be praising her Savior. So, thank you for that. I grew up in the church. I've got 5 brothers and sisters, a church very similar to this one. And we were very involved in the church. My dad was an elder, the choir director. I've just said I've got 5 brothers and sisters. I'm number 3 out of 6. And we were heavily involved in the church. Youth group was always a big part of our lives. Well, I came home at 19 years of age to having my father say he's leaving the family, which really crushed the family in a lot of ways. And, this was a man who I looked up to him for sure. And I wanted to be just like my dad. And oddly enough, in ways that are not good, I became just like him. And so my dad took off on the family. And, looking back, I can see God's hand at work, unbelievably so. My mother had never worked outside of the home. 6 kids within 10 years, she was fairly busy at home. And God just kept providing. And but for me, I felt very far away from God, and I hadn't dealt with the anger that was in me towards my father for what he'd done to my brothers and sisters. I was very protective. I was the oldest one left at home, and basically was left to raise these 3 kids, and I probably couldn't do it now, let alone when I was 19. And but God stepped in, and he really looked after the family, and it's unbelievable. And I fell away, and he took me down. I was living what you'd probably think would be the great life. I was down in California, and my office was on the golf course, and rubbing shoulders with a lot of people you'd know by name for sure. And I was broken because I had not dealt with that anger that was in me. I'd walked so far away from God, and alcohol became my substitute. That became where I buried things. And I know we think of alcohol as a little bit innocuous. Let me tell you something. If you look on any menu, go into any liquor store, alcohol is under a spirit. And if it gets a hold of you, it is evil. And it got a hold of me to the point where if I didn't have a good 15 or 16 ounces of alcohol in me, I could not stand up. So I needed it to function, and it was killing me. And eventually it took away everything from me. It took away my career, home. I got divorced again. As I said, it became just like my dad, the guy who I hated. Through Teen Challenge, I was able to mend that relationship and mend relationships beyond what you could imagine. When you go into addiction, you tend to trample on relationships. You're just about you and about the substance. And He humbled me, took me down, and when I came to Teen Challenge, I was broke, I was broken, and he repaired everything. I mean, it's amazing what he does through this program. And I've got two men here who are going to attest to that same thing working in their lives. So God came along and he got me to Teen Challenge. And I think I got this right here, do I? Or do I not have it up here? I got it only back there, okay. I'm looking at the TV and I'm going, that's blank. That's okay, we can make it work here. Teen Challenge is changing lives every day. Actually, I'm up there. I'm right under the D. I never even noticed that. So one of the guys in the choir said, hey, you're on that. So these are people that have graduated from the program. So with the program here, we're going to talk a little bit about addiction and how it affects the lives of people out there. I mean, I usually, when I'm out doing this with the choir, I usually tell people, take a look to the right and to the left. You've just looked at somebody who's probably in some way been affected by addiction. Whether it is a family member, a co-worker, any kind of relative, anything like that. It's running rampant in our society. So I'm going to go through a little bit of that. You can hear about Teen Challenge, and we'll hear some stories, and we'll talk about how you can partner with us. The state of addiction across Canada, anybody think that it's getting better? No, exactly. It is laughable the way they deal with it. This is probably an older stat now, with 6 million Canadians meeting the criteria. That is just going up and up and up. And the substances now that are out there are deadly. People are dying on a daily basis. There was over 3,500 deaths from overdose in Canada last year, 2022, sorry. In 2022, over 3,500 people dropped dead from some kind of a substance. And again, the solutions that we have out there that are, they're saying, well, give them more drugs. And that's sort of become a solution. Give them free drugs. They'll be safe. Well, that's killing people. I always make it akin to, it's like going into a Weight Watchers meeting and saying, we're going to give you all free donuts for life. It's ridiculous, but that's how they're dealing with it. So $46 billion in 2017, that's what it cost our economy just to deal with the addiction in our healthcare system. People with 6 or more serious childhood traumas are 4,600% more likely to be caught up in addiction. That's a staggering stat. And who struggles with addiction? All walks of life. It does not discriminate. I was 57 years old when I came into the Teen Challenge program. And when I came into the program, I kind of chuckled. We had one gentleman, he was 19 years old. We have to live together in the program. And he says, oh, don't worry, I'll be your Teen Challenge. He was. But it does not discriminate. It doesn't discriminate whether you come from the church, whether you're out in the world, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a factory worker, a construction worker, man, woman. It does not discriminate. It is running rampant in our society, and it's taking people down. Yeah, look at that. Our mission at Teen Challenge. Now at Teen Challenge, I'll get into this a little bit, but it's a 12-month in-house program. We go and we live together for 12 months. And our mission is not just to have guys come in and stay sober. They could come in, and there are guys who do it. They come in and they just do their 12 months and off they go. But our mission is to send them back out into the world and make them productive members in their society, whether they're going back and being better husbands, fathers, getting involved in their churches, in their communities, and giving the knowledge that they know. And the big difference between Teen Challenge and other programs that are out there, and other programs, and there's some good programs out there, but when you leave those programs, you leave. At Teen Challenge, when you leave that program, you have Jesus Christ go with you. Whether you've accepted him, we've had people who have come in and had known nothing about the church, about God, nothing, and they walk out born again and redeemed. They walk out, go to a brand new life. Not everybody does that. Some come in, but everybody gets that seed planted for sure. That is the one thing in our program. They did a study years back Years back, they did a study on what's the difference with the success rates at Teen Challenge compared to other programs. And this is a secular company that did this. This was not done within the church or within Teen Challenge. And they said the only thing we can attribute the difference in the success rate at Teen Challenge is the God factor. That's a secular company saying it's the only thing we can see that's different is God. So at Teen Challenge, we do have 9 centers across Canada. And also makes you think of Hockey Night in Canada when I say from Alberta to Newfoundland. But we have over 200 beds, and one of our goals is to fill those beds. And one of the issues for filling those beds is money. We do not take any government subsidies. If we were to do that, we'd need to take Jesus out of the program. So we rely on donors and churches and things like that to keep the doors open at Teen Challenge, and we want to fill up those beds this year. For us to come into the program, for us to come into the program, it costs us $1,100. That's what we have to pay to come in. The actual cost is over $56,000 to put one person through the program for the year. So the rest comes from donations and things like that. And I tell you, God's people are unbelievably faithful. I got to see it from the one side of the table when I was in the program. People would be writing and uplifting you and things. They don't even know me, but they took time to write to me. Now I'm on this side of the table, and I get to see all the donations and things that come in. God's people are generous. God's people are faithful. Don't let anything out in the world that tells you that the church is a horrible place with horrible people. You guys are okay. But they would have us believe that. But we want to fill up those beds, so it does take money in order to do that. And again, we've got the Women's Center, which is just north of Toronto, in Aurora. I tend to get in trouble sometimes because I tend to forget about the women, because I obviously went through the men's program and I work with them now too. But so women struggle with addiction just as much as men. So we do have programs for women, as I said, just in Aurora, Ontario, and we've got them all across the country there. Make sure I go the right way here. Now our program does work. As I said, I'm a testimony to standing up here saying that God's done the work in me. He has transformed my life in miraculous ways. And I'm going to have a couple of gentlemen come and share their stories with you. They are currently in the program. As I said, both these gentlemen are with the choir. I'm going to call them up to impromptu maybe sing for you or something. No, okay, I'm not going to do that. We're going to have Daniel come on up and tell you his story, and then Gloria will follow up with that, and then I will close up. Daniel's going to tell you a story slowly.
Good morning, church. Good morning. Hello, my name is Daniel. I was born and raised in Saudi Arabia. Although my father died when I was young, I had a good childhood with my mom, brother, and 2 older sisters. During my final year of high school, we moved to Canada and settled in Mississauga. Because we moved during my grad year, I felt like I had to start all over again. I felt very alone. In an attempt to fit in and make new friends, I started smoking weed and skipping school. Soon after high school, I started drinking. In my 20s, I tried cocaine and was instantly hooked. It seemed to make me feel happier and made me much more talkative. Although I began to spend all my earnings from work on cocaine, I convinced myself that my drug use was manageable. When COVID hit, I had a lot of free time and a lot of money coming in. This made things much worse, and my drug use increased significantly. Then I tried crack. This drug took me down, and I knew I was no longer in control. I lost my job and soon resorted to stealing from stores and later from family members. This was my rock bottom. After a family friend noticed the state of my life, she recommended Teen Challenge to me. I decided to try it and arrived on July 4th, 2023. I have now been sober for 10 months. I have reopened my relationship with Jesus. He has answered my prayers for sobriety and has given me a peace that I could have never found on my own. God has revealed to me that having faith in Him is key to having a clean and sober life. I am learning that He is a forgiving Father as well as a caring one, and that I can bring my burdens to Him. Because many of us in Teen Challenge program share similar emotions and struggles, we are able to offer each other much support and encouragement on our journey. I appreciate my brothers at TC. They mean the world to me. Ephesians 4:22 says, "Throw away your old sinful nature and your former way of life, which is corrupted by lust and deception. Instead, let the Spirit renew your thoughts and attitudes." Thank you guys for listening.
Thanks. Good morning. My name is Glorian, and I don't have my testimony here with me. I had it written down, but I just wanted to kind of just tell you it because I know it off by heart. It's my life, and the things that I've been through, they'll never really leave you. But I'm just thankful for God for keeping me. And I'll just start off from the beginning. I was born in 1993. That was almost 31 years ago. It's a long time. I was born, yeah, I know. I was born in Germany, and my parents moved there from Rwanda. Rwanda is a small country in Eastern Africa, and there was a civil war in 1994. It was a genocide, and luckily we weren't there. We were in Germany at the time, but my parents have never returned back to Rwanda, and I think that was the beginning of our life story. We were refugees when we left Germany. We came to Canada, and we moved to Kitchener, Ontario. Kitchener, Ontario is also a German town. It used to be called Berlin back in the day. And so we fit in really nicely there. And we went to church there in Kitchener. I grew up playing soccer, lots of sports. I went to high school there. My little sister, she's 2 years younger than me. She also came to church with me, followed me. I was the oldest, so she always did whatever I did. And we were also in the choir at this church, and it was really cool because every Sunday we'd have to memorize Bible verses in German. Yeah, trust me. And then you'd recite it to the congregation, and if you did well, you got applause and you got some candy afterwards. So that was always a good motivation. My sister and I, the reason why I bring her up, she's really important in my life, and it's not a coincidence that I'm here today at Grace Baptist Church because her name is Grace, and she's a strong woman of the Lord, and she always pushed me to express my faith, get closer to God. But as I was growing up in my teenage years, I had gone away from God, gone my own way, because I wanted to be with the cool kids, because I was part of the socially acceptable crowd. And looking back in high school, I was a good brother, but I could have been better in my role, in the way that I was a role model, because I started partying at a very young age in grade 9. And this was due to traumas that my sister and I went through in our family. Our parents were very tough because of the way they grew up, and they didn't have parents to teach them how to be parents either. So when you're growing up, and as families know, financial issues are the number one reason for divorce sometimes in families, fights, arguments, and sometimes those arguments would be aimed at the children, right? And we didn't have a place to kind of express our feelings, our thoughts. That wasn't talked about in our family. My father was a very hard man. He'd lived a tough life, and I had resentment towards him. I didn't want to express the truth to him, and I would rebel in different ways by going out drinking early in my youthful age at 14, and that would kind of stay with me, and I would continue to use drinking as a way to escape any sort of pain that I was feeling, or any time I wanted to get out of reality. Alcohol was a great way of not having to face my issues. And then smoking also was involved in that as well. And then as I finished high school, I was able to kind of build this double life for myself. I was a athlete. I played football, and I was able to get a scholarship at the University of Waterloo. And I accepted. I went to university for 3 years, and it was a great time there. But it was my third year, and I think all of my bad habits, my sinful nature had caught up to me. And I couldn't do it anymore. I was tired. I was weary. I had to stop internalizing all the things that happened to me. I had to express how I felt, and I didn't know what to do. I became clinically depressed. Someone like me who was always having a good time, have a smile on my face. When they see Gloria, and that was the guy who has the enthusiasm, the charisma, and for the first time in my life, I didn't know how to get out of it. Drinking wouldn't help, smoking wouldn't help. My friends weren't able to help me. They had all abandoned me. I had left school, left sports, was at my parents' house, and I was at my lowest point in 2016. I called out to God, and I was trying to do anything I could to get that relationship back that I used to have with him when I was a child. And it took so many years of God teaching me, disciplining me, and keeping me in his ways, because there were times where I could have not been standing here today in front of you speaking, because I've had friends of mine who passed away in high school, suicide. I understand what young people are going through. It's a tough life that you have to go through now, especially with especially the internet. Back in my day, we didn't have all the cell phones and everything. We dealt with everything in the schoolyard, but now you can just go online and we can post about you. We can bully you that way. And, it's difficult for young people. And I wanted to be able to finally be honest and be able to say, God, I need your help. I can't keep doing this. And in 2018 was the year that really changed me, because I lost my father in January of 2018. He passed away from, they believe it was a heart attack, myocardial infraction, and but they couldn't explain it. It was in his sleep, so that hurt. I was 25 years old, and I was told, you're the man of the house now. I knew I wasn't, and my behavior and actions showed that. 4 months later, I lost a teammate that I used to play with at the University of Waterloo. He was a really good friend of mine. He died at a party. They were drinking, smoking there probably, and there was an altercation that happened, and he got stabbed in the neck. He was a really good player, and he was going to go on to play in the CFL. I miss him very much. And at the end of 2018, the last kind of arrow was shot at me, and that was my pastor. His name was Dale Hoke. He died in a motorcycle accident. And after 2018, I knew that the spirit world was real, and that people are battling spiritual battles all the time, and that death, I couldn't run away from death, and that scared me. I didn't want to die, and I called out to the one that can give life, the one that says, I'll have eternal life. And I didn't want to live my life not knowing who Jesus was. And I spent the next 4 years getting closer to God. I went back to church, and the pastor that had passed away, he's actually the reason that I'm here at Teen Challenge today. He had a church in Waterloo called World Outreach Ministries, and they had an outreach team just like this come by to a church and speak to me. I was a young man sitting in one of those pews with my parents thinking, I'll never need that, that's okay. I'm not going to be an alcoholic, I'm not going to be a druggie, my life's good. But 10 years later, I'm at Teen Challenge, and he was an important part of my life. He was a great minister. He was a former biker gang member in Kitchener, and he used to run the streets, and he was an evangelist afterwards. A former life of being in a biker gang and living for the world of Satan, and to becoming a pastor and changing his life, getting married. It gave me hope that whatever sin that I had committed, that the Lord would forgive me, and that I could become, instead of a brand ambassador for Satan, I could be a brand ambassador for the Lord Jesus Christ. And I'm not ashamed to say it now. I remember when I was younger, you'd get made fun of to say if you're a Christian in school, and I know I kind of shied away, and I said, no, I'm with the cool kids. But there's nothing cool about sin, because it leads to death. And it is now 2020, and trying to get closer to the Lord, going back to church, things are turning around for me. I got a great job working as a fitness instructor at a gym in Kitchener, doing CrossFit, and COVID-19 happens, this big era in our lives. And things went to a standstill. Everything changed within an instant. And I knew there was one thing, only one person I could count on that I could believe in to get through this time. People thought I was crazy. I said, no, the Lord will get us through. I believe in Jesus Christ. Nothing bad will happen to us. Just believe. My mom, my sister, we were all living together. They were the ones that led me. It's the women in my life that have had the most faith. It's funny, I think I'm the strong one because I've got these big muscles and things like that, but they had this spiritual power that I hadn't had yet, that I hadn't experienced. And the Lord was about to show me through a journey of traveling all over Canada, having to move from province to province, finding jobs because I had not gotten vaccinated. And my reasoning was that I just purely in my heart, the Lord tugged me that I'll take care of you. And Psalm 91 says, he who abides in the secret place of the Most High shall abide in the shadow of the Almighty. For I will say to the Lord, my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. For he will protect you from the snare of the fowler and from the deadly pestilence. And he'll cover you with his feathers, and under his wings he'll give you cover. And I love Psalm 91. It's my nighttime prayer. It's my daytime prayer. It's what got me through the last 4 years. And I wouldn't be standing here in front of you today without this Bible. It has saved me. It has given me new strength. It has created me into a new man. And I wouldn't be speaking in front of churches. I'd rather be out, going to a pub, going to do whatever the world is doing, whatever's trending nowadays. But I see that all is foolishness, and I see this as real wisdom. And why did I go to Teen Challenge? I went because I couldn't kick my addiction. This was something that was like a thorn in my side. Like the Apostle Paul said, the Lord, I asked him, let this be rid of me. I don't want this anymore. But I think God has put this in me to keep me humble so that I can tell my story and say that, I'm a sinner. I'm addicted to alcohol. I've lied. I've cheated. I've been immoral. And I'm not taking away this thorn in your side yet. You're going to have to work and abide in me and trust me versus what you used to do when you were younger, which is going your own way, thinking that you have the wisdom. But the wisdom I get is from the Lord, and I'm so glad that he's given me the opportunity, a second chance, because he's given me more than a second chance. He's given me third, fourth, and fifth chances, and I've always denied him. And now I look back on my life, and there are times I could cry and say, God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I didn't listen. I don't even know. I knew you were there, you were there, you were there. I wasn't looking, I wasn't listening, and I wasn't hearing to what you were saying. And I entered into Teen Challenge in November 21st, 2023, because nothing was working anymore. I was out in British Columbia at this time. The Lord had led me through leaving Ontario, living in Saskatchewan for a bit. Doors had been closed, doors got opened. I was living this life of just trying to survive, and I had eventually had let go of everything. Everything. He said, you must get rid of everything that you have that you hold on to. If you want to follow me, take up your cross, take your sins, all of the things that you need to work on, and come follow me, and I'll show you this new life. And I said, all right. I sold my car. I sold everything I had. I went back to my mom's house. She said, you're either getting a job or you're going to Teen Challenge. And I said, Mom, I don't think I just need to focus on healing right now. It's been 15 years of running away from my problems. I think this is a good time to take 1 year to focus on them and get healing. And so my mother and my sister Grace, they encouraged me to join Teen Challenge, and now I've been 5 months sober. I have been reading the Bible every single day, and I feel something like I've never felt before in my life, which is just a confidence and a hope that my future is secure, and nothing that goes on in this world will ever shake me again. And I just want to leave you with a passage. It's Psalm 116. It's verses 5 to 11. Gracious is the Lord and righteous. Yes, our God is compassionate. The Lord preserves the simple. I was brought low, and he saved me. Return to your rest, O my soul, for the Lord has dealt bountifully with you. For you have rescued my soul from death, my eyes from tears, my feet from stumbling. I shall walk before the Lord in the land of the living. I believed when I said, I am greatly afflicted, and I said in my alarm, all men are liars. I love that one because the Lord, he takes care of those who are just simple-minded people that just call out and are humble enough to call out, no, I can't do this on my own. So thank you, Grace Baptist Church, for having us. And thank you again for believing in us. And I pray for all the people in this congregation. I saw the prayer list out there, people who are suffering, whatever it may be, physical afflictions, heart disease, MRIs, family members. We're all the same, inside. We have different attributes on the outside. I have a little bit of a darker complexion, but I still got the hearts and lungs. You do too. Inside is what matters, and God has shown me that in my entire life. I'm able to love people because they were able to love me back, and we're able to love each other because He was the one that loved us first. So thank you.
Thanks, guys. I'm going to zip you through. Oh, we'll go the other way here. Wait, I'm going the wrong way now. See, back in the day, we didn't have any of this stuff. I laugh when they say back in the day. I'm like, I wish I was back in that far back. We have different phases to our program, and our first phase is when you're coming in off the streets, as you've heard guys saying, we were struggling. I know I was broken. I was broke. I didn't have any clue what I was doing. Alcohol was still a very big part of my life. I'd been to detox, but it takes a long time before your brain starts functioning properly again. So the first phase is just coming into the program and embracing your sobriety. Getting that done, and then you move on to what we call is a training program, and that's where you really start to dig a little farther into the Bible, into Christ, and we do our PACE. Our PACE program, which is a personal accelerated Christian education. So guys go through that every day, and that's just a time when you start to focus more on Christ, still on your sobriety, obviously, and then we have our phase 3, which is our transition phase. And that's actually probably one of the most difficult times. First of all, you've been in the program for quite a while now, and you're really, as much as you love the guys, you're really sick of living with them. And that becomes actually, oddly enough, becomes one of the biggest challenges is living with those guys. One of the greatest benefits is living with those guys. So it really is, iron sharpens iron, and there's a lot of clanging going on quite often. But that's when you start transitioning, thinking about getting back out into the world. Where are you going to live? Are you going back to, and we have, guys that have wives and kids, they're going back to the exact same area. They're going back to the same jobs. And what are you going to do? How are you going to function when you get into that? We have other guys they have nowhere to live. They don't have a job. They have nothing. So you focus on that and getting back into getting a plan together on what you're going to do, where you're going to live, and how you're going to function. One of my biggest things for guys, I always pray that they'll find churches, mentors, places that they can go and fit in and tell their story, because continuing to tell your story is a great thing. So that's one of the hardest things too, is because you get a lot of the guys, the big muscly guys and whatnot, and all the bravado that they bring with them. And you can see within the last month, they start getting this anger. A lot of them get this anger in them is because they're afraid. They're afraid. They're going back out there and they're going, how am I going to function? Because when we're in the program, this is one thing I always like to point out too. We're in the program. We've got, you start having a problem with somebody in the program. Well, you've got 5 other guys that go, let's pray. Let's take it to Jesus. He's going to help us. You don't have that when you go back out into the workforce. You don't have those 5 guys around you saying, hey, let's take this to Christ. You've got guys say, you want to beat that guy up. You want a different thing. So you start to see that fear seeping in. And so we always pray that they will find mentors in churches. And then we have a phase 4 and a phase 5 program. It's akin to an internship program. For me, I always chuckle a little bit because when I was about maybe 8 months into the program, I was sitting on my bunk one night, and again, at this time I'm 60, almost 60 years old, so I don't sleep as well as the young guys. And I'm sitting there and I said, okay, God, whatever you want. I don't care what you want to do with me. You do what you want. And it's almost as if he audibly said to me, even a phase 4? And I went, well, really? Hey, I said, okay, I'll do a phase 4. However, now I got my conditions. I'm all committed, but I got conditions. And this was my condition. I literally said, okay, if you want me to do a phase 4, I've got to know for sure. I need to know. I need to, somebody to give me evidence that I'm supposed to be doing a phase 4. And it's got to come from somebody who I respect. And I had a picture of somebody in my mind of this person, but I didn't audibilize the name because I wanted some wiggle room. Anyways, 2 days later, walking down the hallway at Teen Challenge, and the director comes up to me and says, Grant, I've never done this before, but if you thought about doing a phase 4, I'd really like you to do that. Well, guess who the person was I was thinking of? So, and he goes, well, there's confirmation. You should be doing a phase 4. And I went, well, Chuck, I am in the Gideon dorm, so maybe a couple more fleeces will help. But and then I did my phase 4. It was a blessing. It's a huge blessing. I would encourage you guys to do a phase 4. I probably learned more in the phase 4 position. You take it on as you're working with the guys, but so you're still a part of a student body, but you're kind of on your way out. It was a real blessing to do. And then we have a phase 5, which is the time where you can come on if there's a position available in phase 5, and you work for a contract for minimum wage, but they have a house that you can go live in and things like that. So even then, for me to try wiggle out, my sister saw a posting for a job at Teen Challenge, and she phones me and she goes, did you see that job posted? She goes, it's like they wrote the job description for you. I'm like, yeah, okay, here I am. So it's been a blessing. It's one thing I can say too, and I would obviously say to the guys, but I would say to anybody, if you want to live your best life, just do what God wants you to do. Every time I decide, I'm going to try this out. I want to do. You have to yank me back. But every time I just say, okay, God, whatever you want, and I'll just take one step at a time, he blesses me beyond what I could possibly ever imagine. So that's just a word there for. So to get help today, I don't know why they wrote this. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. If you ask the guys who are in our intake department, it's not that easy because they get to deal with us, first of all, when we're either drunk or high, and they have to try to get us to follow through and get to appointments and things like that. So it's not that easy, but we do make it as easy as possible. So if you know anybody who you think may have a problem, that may need help, get the information. So as I say, come and see us at the table. We've got a little bit of information for you that you can just get to people. So you speak to an admissions, an intake guy. And these guys, I'm telling you, they have a very difficult job. Like I think of when I was getting into the program, there's very few of us that are going, yay, I'm going to rehab for a year. So there's some people are going because mom and dad said you have to. Some people are going because wife said you have to, or husband said you have to. And so they're fighting that battle. So it's a very, very tough job. And then you get into the program and it gets simple from there. So as I said, get help today. If you know anybody, come and see us at the table. We can just give you a little bit of information. I know for me, I had somebody print off the application for me and give it to me. I didn't receive that very well. I wasn't all happy. It was my sister-in-law too, so I'm like, she was an outlaw for quite a while there. However, it saved my life. But she had the courage, the boldness to get that in front of me, even though I didn't want it. So come and get the information, plant that seed, and again, your support makes this all happen. I had somebody ask me already how they can get involved. We have a program that is called The Journey. And we'd ask anybody, if God is putting it on your heart, to join us on our journey to sobriety, join us on our journey to a relationship with Jesus Christ. It's a monthly program, and whatever God would put on your heart, whether that's $20, $50, $100, $500, whatever God would put on your heart, come see us, get the information, pray about it. It's necessary. In order for this program to continue, we need the support. So come and get the information. We'll show you how you can get involved. You can join us for one of our annual events. We do have golf tournaments, motorcycle rides, and things like that. If somebody would be interested, come and see us and we can get you some information. And I'm going to finish up with this here. So as I said, how can you get involved? You can participate or volunteer. Come to an event and join us that way. You can do a one-time gift, and the church is going to have an offering here and give you that opportunity to do that one-time gift. You can sponsor through the journey with a recurring gift. And the one thing that I would ask everybody is please pray. I know when God's people pray, things happen. I know I got prayed into the program. I can't believe I had to do this, but I got prayed into the program. I'm going to just read here a message that I got from my sister. She sent me this. I just wanted to let you know that as I sat with you in church on Sunday and I got to worship with you, I realized that my prayers have been answered. I love you, Grant. And I will always sing of the goodness of God when I see what he has done in your life. That's the kind of thing that I'm going to do something. I could do something even worse here. What God does, what does he prepare? This is from my nephew. He said, I still get teary-eyed thinking about you and my mom singing at Naomi's wedding. You know, you were my hero growing up. Then that kind of went by the wayside for a while. But now, you're my hero again. I love and respect you more than you'll know. That's Jesus Christ. Through this program, Jesus Christ gave me all that stuff back. And he is doing that every day. So please pray. Pray for these guys as they go through the program. I said it's not easy. Pray for the guys that are graduating the program, that they will find churches, that they will find mentors, that they would fit into their society. Pray for the staff. Pray for our staffing needs. That's always a big one too. But do know that you make a difference. You make a big difference in the lives of the men, which makes a big difference in the kingdom of God. And I would like to just finish with, that you can be certain of this, that he who began a good work in you, and you, and you, and you, will complete it until the day of Jesus Christ. So thank you very much. I'm going to call on James. Come on up and take it from here.